The thing in the fields. I was only 12 years old at the time. My parents owned a barn, and we had a decent amount of animals in there. We actually had a whole farm. Not too surprising there. Had a decent amount of everything, except for horses. We only have about 5 of them, outnumbered by on how many other animals we have. It was perfectly calm for my 12 years living there, as I was at the family farmhouse since I was born. Fact is, I was even born there, which was kind of insane, but let's stop getting into the factual parts. Let's get straight into this. So, it was perfectly fine the first 12 years. I was about to turn 13 in a few months. But all of a sudden, we started finding dead animals, basically. Chickens, cows. Something larger than a cow would be extremely rare, like a horse. We didn't know what it was. We just thought it was some kind of plague or a coyote, fox, or something like that. We do live out in the country, down in Nevada, in the foresty parts. So, as suspected, we just debunked it as something like a carnivore. But my 12-year-old mind thought different. I thought it was an actual human doing it, because why would a coyote kill an animal and just leave its corpse rotting with its throat slashed open? As suspected, my father didn't really care about it. He did own a caliber 2 rifle, which was a very powerful gun at the time. Able to kill 2 men in one shot. That's how powerful it is. He only used it if coyotes or foxes or the animals that eat livestock get around too messy, and he just decides to take them out. So, one day, I was in my room, sleeping, and my bed is right next to the window. So as I'm laying down, I always get to take a peek out the window, since my pillow, or my head, is right next to it. I get to check on the animals. I usually hear a few livestock making their usual sounds, like moos and baas and, clucks. Sorry. But one day I heard something weird. Something that disturbs me to this day. I heard a howl. Some kind of howl of not a wolf. It sounded like the howl of some kind of creature from maybe an alien movie or a haunted house, who knows. But it was some kind of howl. And I could make out in the distance a black figure. And our fields stretch out for miles and miles. And it was about, maybe half a kilometer away. And I saw some kind of figure that looked like the size of my dad from there. Now, I'll tell you right now, my dad is pretty big. He is 6'1". And if that thing looks like it's 6'1" from half a kilometer away, it must be way bigger than I thought it might be. And it just walked around the fields and then came towards the barnyard. It was coming at a really, really slow pace. I didn't know what to think at the moment. But I was so tired that I fell asleep just thinking. The next morning, we found a cow, or the sound of a dying animal. My mistake, I meant to say the next night, but we heard the sound of a dying animal, which was a cow in the pasture. We all woke up at the same time, and my dad came running into the room with a caliber rifle in his hand, and he said, no matter what, stay in bed, and you can look out the window if you want to, but don't if you hear gunshots. I kept on looking out the window. I saw my dad go outside. I didn't see what he did next because he was out of sight. But when I heard the sound of one gunshot, I immediately hid under my covers. The next morning, he rarely talked about that night, but he told us everything. He never even spoke to my mom about it. He said that he found one of our cows ripped open by the torso, and it was bleeding professionally. And the gunshot that I heard was him shooting the cow in the head. I was so confused and so scared at the time that I didn't know what to do. And the next night, I looked out the window and I saw something behind the garage. And the garage is like right next to my bedroom. I live on the second floor. I mean, my bedroom is on the second floor, but I could get a clear view of the garage, and I saw something hunched over by the edge of it. And that thing was huge. Even if I just saw, like, the most littlest amount of it, I could tell that it was a huge creature, whatever the hell it was. Closed my blinds, and I immediately just drifted off. And I had a horrible nightmare that night. Passed on for a couple of months. This would happen, like, so many times. You'd find a chicken, a duck, but whatever else was larger than that was extremely rare. Like a sheep, a cow, and the most rarest one was a horse. And we only got 2 of those. The rest of them was like 5, and the chickens were like up to 50. So you could really tell on how many animals we have. There's one time when I was in the stables feeding the horses. The dogs were asleep, but I thought I could hear something out in the pasture. I thought it was nothing. I just thought it was a horse trying to wait for food as I was feeding it hay. The dogs took a little look around, but they couldn't find anything, or as I thought so. Came running back inside. I just thought it was the horses spooking them out because maybe they gave him a sudden surprise, who knows. And then they immediately hid in one of the stalls. Didn't think much of it till I heard some kind of breathing behind me. I turned around and what I saw was that creature, that weird creature, and it was right behind the sun. I couldn't even make out. The light was so strong of the sun, I couldn't even make out what it was. Couldn't even tell the facial features, but it nearly went up to the stable's roof, and the stable's roof was like 20 feet tall, and it was only like 2 inches away from being all the way up, and it was huge. Its arms were so long that they nearly touched the ground. I didn't know what the hell it was. I started running for my life, running as fast as I freaking could. It was running even faster than me, but I ran first in it. And for some reason, it took about like 1 minute for it to start running after me. But it was like maybe half of 5 yards away from me, like a snap. So, sorry if I took a little bit of a pause there. I really don't know on how many feet he went. It was somewhere along there, but he was running. But I got to my house in time. I locked the doors, and I made sure that I locked every single window, door, and I closed the blinds. My parents were out going to Seattle because my uncle was ill in some sort. By ill, I mean he had stage 4 lung cancer. We told him to stop doing cigars, but he wouldn't listen. Well, anyways, I was in the house, and I didn't know what to do at the time. Then I remembered the caliber 2 rifle. I went upstairs and I grabbed it. I loaded it up, and I grabbed one of the kitchen chairs and put it by the side, or in front of the back door. I waited and waited to see if it will do anything. To see if it will some kind of make a mist. That creature was completely black, so I couldn't tell any facial features. As I was doing so, I could hear it on the gravel pavement of our driveway. I could hear it moving around. I ran upstairs to get a glimpse of it. I saw it. And it started grabbing the chickens and started ripping their wings off, killing them instantly. He killed about 5 or so chickens. I didn't even have the thoughts about shooting it. But then I realized why it was doing it. It was showing power. It was showing power that it could do whatever it wants, and I was not strong enough to kill it. That's when I thought I had one last chance. I had only 2 bullets inside the rifle, and I did have ammo next to me, but I'd figured that it would be gone by the time I even reloaded it. It could only shoot 2 bullets at one time. I loaded it up, made sure that the safety was off, and as it was about to get the last chicken, I shot it once, and then I shot it twice. The first one was right into the shoulder, but the second one was straight in the head. It lied there, just completely solid, not even moving an inch. 20 feet, and it just lied there. I didn't know what the creature was. I called my parents. They told me that they didn't believe me. I showed them a picture of it. I showed them a picture of it. They believed me. They called the police. The cops came over, and they started checking out the area. And apparently that creature was something that nobody had ever seen before. It was some kind of mutated creature of some sort that was 20 feet tall. And as I shot it, it made the most disturbing noise ever. Its howl was like the most insane thing I have ever heard ever. So loud that it sounded like it was right next to me. I'm 31 now, but I decided to write this because it was just a story to share. Oh. Hey guys, well, thank you all for watching. Like that button if you want to see more of this. This is what I decided to do for my Wacky Wednesdays. Well, if you think that I'm lying by any sorts, this is a creepypasta. Why would it be real? Like, is there any creature out there that's 20 feet tall? Oh, wait. There are. Anyways, hope you all enjoyed. Yeah, and I'll see you all in the next one. Good. Sorry if I always have to make weird, stuff when I say bye, but just how I roll, Oh, God.